Welcome everybody to another episode of Hey Mando, the Mando verse review show right here on Merc Movie Blog. I am your host, Josh of Merc Raynor, and I'm here for the season finale of the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 7, In the Name of Honor. That's right. This is the third episode directed by Robert Rodriguez. I know that we had been told, I think, that he was going to do two of them. And then later on, it had come out that he was going to do another one. So it's nice to kind of see he got to, start it, end it, and got that, the third episode there, sort of in the middle. Really, he did the middle episode of the Boba Fett story because the other two episodes really didn't deal with Boba Fett at all. But anyways, that has nothing to do right now with what we're talking about here. We are talking about the season finale. An amazing episode, I thought. It was fantastic. I think it was a great way to end it. It was action-packed, had good story going through it, set up some good stuff at the end. So we got to see a lot of familiar characters come back through, a lot of good resolutions. So I'm excited to get into this, and I hope you guys are as well. All right, so this episode opens up on a wide shot of Mos Espa, and then we see the destroyed wreckage of the sanctuary. In the previous episode, right at the end, we saw, a couple of Pikes walk in with a canister, and then they walked out without the canister, and then the sanctuary exploded, and presumably every single person there, including Garza Fwip, dead. Garza Fwip, Max Rebo, and his band, gone, which is a real bummer to me. Not just, Garza Fwip, I actually really loved her character. Part of me is really hoping that she somehow managed to survive. Like maybe she made her way to some sort of safe room and then got the hell out of there after everything happened. I hope, but honestly, I don't think that's what's going to happen. And the fact that Max Rebo gone too, man, that's a bummer. But so the sanctuary has been destroyed. Boba and Fennec Shand are there. They're soon joined by Mando, who says that Freetown, the people of Freetown, they're going to help. But in exchange for this, they want to make sure that the spice trade ends. Fennec has hesitation about this because there's a lot of money in spice. But it was something that Cobb Vanth was very, very adamant about, getting rid of this stuff from his areas, from Tatooine in general, just like making it stop. It's killing the people of Tatooine. So it makes sense why he would want it gone. And Mando respects that. And so does Boba Fett. He agrees to this. And a lot of this has to do with, I don't think he wants anything really to do with the spice. I don't think he's not the kind of guy who's like, I'm going to run my empire and with a whole bunch of spice. I really don't, that's just not him. And he needs the people of Freetown. He says as much, he says, without their help, essentially, they're not going to win. They're all just going to die because they do not have enough people. And they decide that they're going to take refuge here at the sanctuary. He talks to the mods, the as I call them, the cyberpunks, but and they they say they make a stand. They're going to stay here. They want, they say to Boba, you can go off and you can hide in your palace, but we're going to stay here. We're going to fight for the people. The people need to see this, to see that they are going to fight for them. And Boba realizes, what, they're right. They're right. And so they're going to stay. This is where they're going to hold up. Then we see Cad Bane. Oh, Cad Bane. What a badass, man. This guy. Like, he was great in the Clone Wars animated series. And then what we got with him last episode was fantastic. And then he just shows up here. He's ready. He's ready for whatever's about to come at him. And the Jawas, he's walking through the streets. The Jawas are terrified of him. And he goes to the Pikes. That's right. We found out last week. He's essentially like their muscle, and this is kind of where it's at. That's confirmed because I wasn't sure. I talked about it on last week's episode that I wasn't sure if he was kind of running things, if like he was the guy and the Pikes were kind of working for him, or if he was just kind of like their hired muscle. And it seems like that's what it is. He is their hired muscle, really. Even if I feel like he probably believes he's got more power than he does. And he tells the Pikes, that what he did there in Freetown and everything, that they're not an issue. Realistically, he doesn't actually tell them what he did, but he says, they're not going to be an issue anymore. He convinced them to stay out of it, which not quite. He shoots Cobb Vanth in that episode after he guns down the deputy. He shoots Cobb Vanth, and he thinks that this is. That the people aren't going to do anything. Well, he's sadly mistaken, as we will see later on. We then learn that it's the Pikes who were the ones that killed the Tuskens that Boba was staying with because they didn't want to pay the protection costs that Boba was asking of them in order to keep them from killing everybody and to keep war from happening. So what they did is they blamed it on the Nikto speed bikers. Now, this was something I said in the episode. I think the episode that happened in. I said I bet you the Pikes are behind this. Now, what my assumption was that they hired the bikers to do it. But what we find out here is that the Pikes did it themselves and made it look like it was the bikers. Like they painted the symbol and everything. They're the ones who did it. And so then when Boba goes and mows down all those bikers after he finds his ship, he thinks it's over. He thinks that's part. He thinks, he got his vengeance for what happened. But little does he know, that's not the case. That's not the case. And so they decide they're going to make a plan to kind of try to draw Boba Fett out into the open so that they can end this once and for all. So then we head over to Peli's garage, and there is an alarm going off, and apparently an X-Wing is approaching. But who is it? Peli thinks it's a New Republic officer. She starts being like, I just filed my registrations and all this stuff. It's really funny. Amy Sedaris is great, I think, as this character. She gives a nice bit of humor to some of the like heavier moments, and I really dig that. But it is definitely not a New Republic officer. It's Grogu. That's right. Grogu is back. He has officially made his choice. Last episode, Luke gave him a choice. He put in front of him Yoda's lightsaber and the Beskar chainmail that Mando left for him. And we didn't know what he was going to choose, But he made a choice. And he chose Mando. And so I made the comparison because I had kind of been reading about this a little bit. The comparison of how all the kind of the main Jedi that we've seen, like the main characters that we have seen throughout the saga, have had to make a choice. Anakin had to choose whether to kill Dooku or not, and he does, and that is the thing that kind of pushes him to the dark side. Really, he murdered a guy just right there in cold blood. Luke had to choose whether to take down his father or spare his life, and he spared his life, and that saved him. That brought him back to the side of good. And Rey had to do kind of the same thing. She had to choose whether she was going to follow, the path kind of born upon her by Palpatine, or if she was going to follow the path that she chose, that she's choosing, and that would be the light side, following Luke. And she chose the light side. But this was a very different kind of choice. This wasn't, you're going to become a Sith if you choose wrong. It wasn't that. But it was a choice, and he had to choose. Was he going to be a Jedi or a Mandalorian? Realistically, that is what he had to choose. And to me, it felt far more similar to Ahsoka's choice. Now, I don't think she had like a one or the other kind of a choice. I'd have to go back and rewatch Clone Wars, but what I mean by that is she chose to leave the Jedi Order and kind of like she still can use the Force. She still has lightsabers, all this stuff, right? And that's kind of what it felt like to me. Grogu, he still can do all this stuff, but he is choosing a different path. It's not an evil path. It's not a dark path. It's just a different path. And I'm excited to see where that goes, to see what we get in season 3 of The Mandalorian with the two of them. Now that he can use the Force a lot more, like he can harness it. He knows how to use it. And we see that in this episode a few times. So it's really, really cool. It was awesome. It's awesome to see him just kind of, the ship lands, you see R2 and you're like, oh, wait, that's R2. And then all of a sudden, bloop, little girl who just pops up, and Pelly's so excited to see him. And what I thought was funny is, he's talking to her, and you can't understand what he says, but she can. And she's like, Grogu? Oh man, that's unfortunate. That's a terrible name. And she's like, I'm not gonna call you that. I thought that was hilarious because that's kind of referencing the fans, really, because there was a lot of people out there who did not like the name Grogu when it was first kind of announced. This was, and so it's kind of funny that Pelly is essentially the fans, a lot of the fans, who just didn't like the name. But to me, I always felt like, oh, okay, and Yoda is any better? Like, really, it's not. Yoda is not like this. Oh, that's a great name. No, like they're on the same level to me. Yoda, Grogu, they're on the same level. And so it never bothered me. But I thought it was a funny, almost like a little dig at those fans who were kind of hating on the name. So I enjoyed that. So then we get back to the sanctuary. Boba Fett and Mando are strategizing, and the cyberpunks, Chrysanthemum, and the Gamorrean guards are all now patrolling the streets of Tatooine. We have the 3 districts, the 3 tribes, whatever you want to call them. I'm sure there's a name. I've been calling them the 3 tribes of Tatooine, and we saw those people in I think it was episode 4, if I'm not mistaken. We saw all of them, and Boba Fett, he tries to strike a deal with them. You just stay neutral, and we will fight the Pikes. And so they go and they're these 3. They're patrolling each area, each tribe, and we actually learned the 2 of the mods' names, 2 of the cyberpunks' names, as I like to call them. The main girl, and then the main guy, the black guy. They're Drash and I think Scad was his name. I think it's Scad. But Drash is the girl's name. She was in trailers. And she's been the main focus of this group was her. And so now we know her name. Her name is Drash. I don't think it had ever been said, and I don't know if it had come out anywhere else. But to my knowledge, this is the first time that we got their names. Then Cad Bane, so they're out. Those 3. So you got the mods, you got Chrysanthemum, you got the Gamorrean guards. They're gone. They are not at the sanctuary. It's just Boba, Fennec, and Mando. And Cad Bane shows up there, and he's there to confront Boba. And Boba comes out. He's ready. He's got his gun. He's ready. They know each other. They've known each other for a long time. From the talk throughout the episode, I think that Cad Bane knew Boba as a kid, and just because there's that one point in the episode, I think it's later on, I think it's toward the end, where he's like, I'm not a little boy anymore. You're just an old man, So I think he knew Boba when he was a kid, which shows you that, we knew that Cad Bane has been around for a while because he's in the Clone Wars, and that is when Boba was a kid, and it's been a while since I've watched the Clone Wars, so I don't honestly remember. if they had interaction, they might have, and that might be kind of where fans would know that. But again, it's been a while. I should go back and rewatch it, and then because I need to still watch season 7, and I would love to watch Rebels at some point as well. So I think that's something I'm going to do is go back and rewatch it all, anyways. But that's beside the point. Cad Bane is here, and he wants to negotiate, essentially to negotiate their surrender, to give them the chance to leave the planet, to go, to just give up the spice trade, just let the Pikes do their thing, and to just avoid war and just to leave. That's what he wants, and he thinks he's confident, Cad Bane is confident that this is something that he can do. Boba, he's having none of it. He doesn't want. He's like, the spice is done. It's not happening, and he's ready to throw down. He really is. But it becomes even more so after Cad Bane reveals to Boba that he killed Cobb Vanth, or so he thinks. He went there. He told him what he did. And then he also tells him that the Pikes are the ones responsible for the death of the Tuskens. He just lays it all out on the line, really trying to goad Boba into a duel. And it almost works. Luckily, Fennec Shand is able to kind of talk him down and get him to put his gun down and not get killed right then and there. Because they can't win right now. They need to wait. On as she says, you got to do this on our terms, not on his. And she's right. She's 100% right. So after the negotiations fail and Cad Bane leaves and everything, then we discover that this whole thing, it was a trap. I think what it was is he came there to negotiate. And if they had agreed, if Boba had agreed to just leave, I think they would have. I think they would have just let him go. Just if he'd agreed to leave and actually done it, then I don't think anything would have happened here. But because Boba said no, Cad Bane leaves. And then we see the town, a bunch of townspeople picking up guns and just going at him. And we find out that the 3 captains, Jabba's former captains, the ones who run the 3 tribes of Tatooine, they have betrayed Boba. And they've sided with the Pikes, all 3. And they have decided to take things down, take Boba at their own will, And it gets real messy. It gets real messy. Hey there, John. How you doing, man? Just talking some Boba Fett. Thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate you so much. But yeah, so we see that all these townspeople, they're pulling guns out of everywhere. And the first thing that we witness is the Gamorrean guards being murdered. They're pushed off a cliff. And I was like, oh no. But if anybody's going to die, I felt like it was probably the Gamorrean guards who were the ones who could die and not really impacted the story as much. But it was sad to see because they were the first to join Boba. It was kind of really just, they didn't really have much of a choice, but they did it and they were loyal, so you don't want to see him go. And then Boba and his crew, they kind of retreat into the sanctuary to regroup. They took down everybody that was outside. They need to figure out a plan now. That first wave, that was exactly what it was, a first wave. There's more coming, and they know it. And as they're talking, the mayor's little bitch boy, whose name I do not remember, to be totally honest with you, he kind of spills the beans about where the Pikes are with the mayor and everything, and Boba sends Fennec out to find them. And this is something that you kind of almost forget about. It's not mentioned again. You see Fennec one more time, and then it's just kind of left. And so then when it comes back, it's like, oh shit, I had totally forgotten about that. At least for me. I mean, maybe some of you remembered instantly what was about to happen, or like figured it out right away. But I was like, okay. And I was like, holy shit! But we'll get there when we get there. And so then we kind of flash over some of the other areas. So we saw the Gaborian guards. We flash over to Chrysanthemum, and he's one dude, but he's beast. He is strong. He's awesome. I love this Wookiee, and but he gets overwhelmed. They just start. He is in Trandoshan territory, and what I thought was interesting. They could the Trandoshans could have just had a bunch of blasters, right? They didn't. They had knives and shit. But if they had a bunch of blasters, I don't think Chrysanthemum would have made it. I really don't. I think he probably would have been taken down. But luckily for him, that's not the way. This is the way. No, but yeah. So he gets really overwhelmed. You see, but he's doing his best. He's fending them off as best he can. And then we see the mods. They're surrounded. They're getting shots fired from everywhere. They're pinned down, and they can't go anywhere until it is that Fennec Shan shows up and takes them out, saves their asses. I thought that was great. That was great. And she tells him, get over to the sanctuary, and she takes off. That's the last you see of her for a while, because she has a mission of her own. Then there's a bunch of Pikes stationing themselves outside the sanctuary. Boba and Mando, they're the only ones left there. He sent Fennec Shan off. Now it's just Boba and Mando left there to guard the sanctuary, to guard themselves, to have that last bastion of hope, if you will. We see that Mando still a firm believer in the Creed. We recently saw, I think episode 5, we saw him get booted out. He's no longer a Mandalorian. The armorer stripped him of that because he revealed that he had removed his helmet. And so now he has to find a way to earn that back, which I assume is what we're going to get in season 3. It's him. Because I remember she said there was a specific way you had to do, a place somewhere you had to go and do some stuff. I don't honestly. I'd have to go back and watch it to that scene again to hear exactly what she said, to remember. But my assumption is that season 3 of Mando is going to be his trek to re-become a Mandalorian, to regain that title back, and everything. So to be worthy once again, which will be awesome. And so, like I said, they're the only ones left there, just the two of them, and they decide, they're going to fight together to the end. Mando's going to stay. Boba tells him, you can go. You don't have to stay. But he's like, I do. I made a word. I gave you my word. This is the way. He's going to be there until they both fall. And I think that it's just badass. You know what I mean? Mando is so awesome. I love it. I love it so much. But before they head out to their deaths, the mayor's little bitch boy interrupts once again and suggests letting him negotiate, because apparently that's kind of was his thing before working for the mayor. He was in negotiations and stuff. And Boba agrees to this, which I was like, really? Huh. Okay. I feel like something's up. And I was right. He writes out his conditions for surrender, gives them to the guy, to the Twi'lek, and sends him out. He doesn't even read them. He's out there talking to Cad Bane, who kind of shows up with the Pikes and everything. And as he reads out Boba's stipulations for surrender, he's reading through it, and he's like, what does he say? Like, here are my conditions, or whatever he says, or this is my offer, or whatever. And then he stops, and he's like, you know what? How about we hear about what you're willing to offer? And he's like, no, read it. Or no, I think it was one of the Pikes. It wasn't Cad Bane. No. Yeah, it was just Pikes. It was yeah. And so the Pikes just like, read it now. So he does, and the offer is nothing. Essentially, it just says that he tells them to leave. Forget about the spice. Leave now, or you're all gonna die. Don't come back. You're all gonna die. And I'm like, damn. Yes, this is the Boba that I want to see. You may want to rule with respect, but you also got to rule with an iron fist when it comes to these situations. People like this. You have to show that you are not going to give in to demands of stuff like this. So I love that. Don't know where this is all going to go, but we'll see. So then the Pikes are shocked. They're shocked. They're angry. And as they're like, I think they're getting ready. I think they're about to shoot this guy, right? Then all of a sudden, Boba and Mando just come blasting out of nowhere. They're flying. They're using their jetpacks, and they're just popping people off left and right from the sky. And it was beautiful to see. I absolutely loved it. Okay, and so later on in this episode, I think Scad does this like spin move where he spins around and shoots his gun. And people on the internet have been just trashing about it. Like, oh, it's so stupid. Blah, blah, blah. Why would you do that? It's the dumbest thing ever. And as I watched it the second time, because I watched the episode twice to prepare for this. As I watched it the second time, Mando does the exact same spin. He spins around and then starts shooting. And not a single fucking person is complaining about that. Why? Oh, because it's Mando. No. Like, it's the same move, people. Shouldn't matter who does it. I feel like you're only complaining because it's one of the mods. And the mods have been kind of hated, kind of divisive a bit since we got them with the shiny, colorful, chromed out speeder Vespas, as I call them. And so the fact that no one is over here complaining about Mando doing the spin, but they're going to complain about Scad doing the spin, like, come on, guys. Like, stop. It's actually very ridiculous that you're complaining about it. All right. So where are we? Okay, so they put up this epic fight. It's fantastic. Like, they're blasting away. You're getting knee rockets and flames and just jumping around. They're getting shot up. Their armor is fantastic. It's taking a lot of hits, but they're kicking some ass, man. It's two guys against dozens of these Pikes, and they're just whooping ass, and it's a beautiful thing to see. I gotta say, but it's not enough. And as they're getting shot and they're down. It seems like they just didn't have enough to get it done. Then the people of Freetown show up and they're blasting away. And I was like, yes, let's do this. Reinforcements are here. And it really does. It changes the tide. So they show up. They have this like armored speeder, not speeder, but this vehicle, whatever. And so they kind of all hide behind it and they're taking cover and they're doing their thing. Then the mods show up. You get a little bit of kind of tense banter between Drash and one of the women from Freetown. I didn't catch her name. I don't know if they said her name, but we kind of get a little bit of stuff with them later on, which is good. And then Chrysanthemum starts walking through the streets. We see him coming up, and he's still fighting off Pikes, or not Pikes. He's fighting off Trandoshans, maybe Pikes. It actually might have been Pikes because of where he was. He's fighting people off, and you can see he's injured. He's limping and stuff, and he's getting shot and everything. And this he's a tough son of a bitch, And he's, like I said, he's getting shot, and he winds up getting hit, and he goes down like onto his knee, and you just see Boba book it out to him, and he gets over there, and I think he takes out a couple guys, and he gets him back to behind the ship. And I thought this was fantastic because it showed Boba's loyalty. When he brought Chrysanthemum in and he gave him the job, he told him that he would lay down his life for him. Same kind of thing that he said to Fennec, you know. And so the fact that he's willing to do that, I thought was awesome. You know, he's kind of holding up to that oath. And he tells him, he's like, man, he's like, I owe you a soak in the back to tank. Which I was like, all right, that's cool. That's cool. And now this was a thing I was like, I didn't think about this until the end, but this is something that you got to remember that comes back at the end, which is awesome. It sets up almost a red herring for what happens at the end of the episode. You think something else is happening, and then it's not, and then you're like, well, wait a minute, and then you find out in the end credit scene what is actually happening. Which we'll get there. I don't like to jump too far ahead. All right, so it seems that they have been victorious, but it's not even close. You know, they take out all the pikes that are kind of there, but it seemed a little too easy, and it was, because all of a sudden we get these giant droids just come waltzing in. They look a lot like huge versions of the destroyer droid from the prequel films. You know, they walk, they got cannons, they have the big bubble shields, just like the destroyer, but they're huge. They're like the size of a building instead of the size of a person. And I did a little research. Apparently, these are known as annihilator droids, and for good reason, man. These things are nasty. And there are two of them, and they're just blasting things away. And all the people of Freetown, Boba, Mando, the mods, and everybody, they're trying for Santa. They're blasting away at these things, but nothing's getting through, which makes sense. I mean, if you anything about like these types of bubble shields that we've seen in the past, whether it be the destroyer droids, whether it be the Gungan shields, stuff like that doesn't get through. And so they're just, but what else are they going to do? They don't know what else to do. I don't even know. Because they didn't have anything like that in the OT, in the original trilogy. So I don't even know if that tech is used all that often. You know what I mean? It's not like the walkers, the ATs or the ATSTs or anything like that. It's not like they were using these shields. You know, which they could have. It obviously seems like that technology still exists, and so they could have, but they weren't. You know, so to me, it seems like these are things that aren't used very often anymore. So where'd the Pike get their hands on these two things? I don't know, but man, do they pack a punch? Boba even launches his backpack rocket at the thing, and it doesn't even scratch. Nothing. Man, to no avail whatsoever. And it just keeps on coming. They try everything, man. Their blaster firing. They even Mando even pulls out the dark saber at one point, and he's trying, and nothing is getting through. Nothing. And unlike, because like what I was thinking, I was like, just run up to it, walk in, because we never saw anybody try to do that with the destroyer droids, but we saw the Gungans shields, and we saw droids just walk right through them. So it was like, just walk in there, man, walk through it and just take this damn thing out. But that's not a thing. You can't, with these shields, you cannot walk through them. We even got to see Chrysanthemum try to, he like tried to push his hand through, and he couldn't do it. And so that makes things a hell of a lot harder. And Boba says they need reinforcements. But who? You know, he takes off. You know, Mando makes his comment. He's like, you don't have any more friends. Who are you gonna get? And Mando takes off. And it's like, who the hell is he gonna go get? All right. Oh man, though, when we find out who it is, well, yeah, we'll get there. So Mando stays and keeps the droids distracted, kind of in an attempt to save the people as they are fleeing from the area. You know, the ship that they're hiding behind winds up getting destroyed, so it's a good thing they all kind of took off. And all the fleeing people, they take cover inside of a building to kind of make their last stand, because Drash is like, I grew up here. If we go any farther, if we run any farther, we're gonna be cornered. There's not going to be anywhere to hide, and we're all going to die. And so they take refuge in this building to, like I said, make their last stand. And Drash and the woman from Freetown that she had the little kind of tiff with at the beginning when they first showed up, they make amends a little bit, and they head up to the roof to take sniper positions because they got to do something. Then we head back over to Peli, and she reveals that Grogu is with her. When they see each other, Grogu, because what happens is, I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit. Mando runs into Peli. I totally skipped over this part. Mando, he gets pinned down, and Peli shows up. She's in this like rickshaw thing, which is really cool because I've been rewatching the Star Wars films with my daughter. She's almost 7 now, and so I'm showing her all the films. She's really excited. She saw episode 5 of Mando, parts of it, and she was loving the Grogu stuff, and it made her want to watch the films. I was like, oh, if you want to watch them, we'll watch them. So we started watching them, and we're in the prequels now, and I realized that rickshaw with the same type of droid is in the prequels. I was like, oh, this was a prequel reference. I hadn't even realized that. So I thought that was really cool. When it popped back up here, I was like, oh, that's awesome. I just saw this thing in the prequel. I think it was, I don't remember if it was episode 1 or episode 2. It was in one of them. But yeah, it was definitely in there. So I thought that was really awesome. And like I said, Mando's pinned down. She shows up. They get the hell out of there. And then like I said, all the stuff happens with the other people that run into the building. And then we're back with Peli. And like I said, she reveals to Mando that Grogu is with her. And he's like, what? What are you doing here? They see each other. Grogu leaps into Mando's arms and they hug. And I started to tear up. This was such an amazing little moment. The whole thing, he chose to be with Mando. That was what Grogu chose. He had the ability to stay and learn to become a Jedi and all this other stuff. But he chose. And that choice comes with another interesting tidbit to me. He chose to not become a Jedi, meaning Grogu is not there when Ben destroys and murders everybody. When the Knights of Ren and everything, when all that happens, and the Jedi Academy is burned to the ground, Grogu's not there because he's not training. I mean, I doubt he's going to go back after that. He made a choice. And so I like that because he could always come back. He's only 50 here. Yoda was 900 when he died. So we could get something set 200 years from the sequel trilogy if we wanted. Whole new cast of characters and things have going on. And there's Grogu. We could easily see that. He's more of a young adult, actively talking, more like a young Yoda, and it could be really cool. I don't know. I'm excited to see what they do. But anyways, so Mando notices that Grogu's wearing the shirt, and he knows he made that choice. Then there's something happens here, and I'm not 100% sure why. We see Grogu, like the camera is on Grogu, and you can see it looks like he's using the Force in some way. It just does. The way he's kind of doing, kind of motioning and everything. And then the camera, we get a shot of the droid that's running, that's pulling the rickshaw, and his head pops off. And then the rickshaw flips over and they all kind of go flying out. And so, did Grogu do that? And if so, why? Did he know that they needed to stop the droid at that spot so that what's going to happen next can happen? I don't know. It's possible, it's the Force and all, but it was just something that I was like, why would he do that? I don't know. So it's an interesting thing to kind of think about. Why would Grogu kind of cause the accident? But it makes me wonder if he could sense that they needed to stop right there and then in order for what's going to happen next to happen. And as they're all about to get destroyed by this annihilator droid, we hear a loud roar in the distance. And I was like, what is this? And they take cover, and then we see a giant claw just come up over a building. I was like, oh, is it the Rancor? Tell me it's the Rancor. That's what's going on in my mind, right? And then all of a sudden the Rancor comes up over the building, and I'm like in shock at this point, right? And then the Rancor tips down, and you see Boba riding the damn thing, and I literally screamed. I was like, yes! It was such a cool moment to see, because they teased it. We didn't get to see any interactions with him and the Rancor. I was kind of hoping that we would, but I think not seeing any of it helped. It made so that when we got to finally see it, it was a bigger emotional pop. You know what I mean? We got to see it for the first time here, and so that was just awesome. Him just riding the Rancor, telling it was so we got to see just a good relationship between them. The Rancor just uses complete brute strength, and just starts trying to whoop on this droid. And so because of that, the droid has to focus more energy to the front part of its shields, causing the back to weaken. And Mando sees this. And so Mando runs over there and manages to slip in through the back part of the shield and just starts going at it with the Darksaber and almost destroys this thing. He gets kind of tossed. As Mando is about to be killed, though, Grogu uses the Force and damages one of the legs on this thing, causing it to kind of like essentially be disabled, which allowed Mando to get away, and it allowed the Rancor to destroy the droid. And this is where, because he grabs the thing, and you see Mando, we see Boba, and he's just like, do it. And it just rips the thing apart and destroys the Annihilator droid. So we really get to see that relationship between Boba and the Rancor that has developed, that we unfortunately did not get the chance to see, which I wish we really kind of had. And it was awesome. It was like they took down this Annihilator droid with the Rancor. So now 1 down, 1 to go, right? So then we head over to the other droid, speaking of, and the people there are still fighting. They're trying, but it's not really doing much. They are killing like some of the pikes that are also there, because it's the droid and then a bunch of random pikes who are also trying to take them out. And so they're trying to take out this droid, but it's not working. But they're also focusing on taking out the pikes. And then Drash and the Freetown girl start picking off pikes while also trying to distract the droid. And then the Rancor just comes crashing through a building and tackles the droid into another one. And it was so fucking cool to see. It was, I can't describe just how awesome the Rancor is in this. They did such a good job. I think the CGI looked great. It just, I don't know, man. I couldn't really fathom how cool it would be to see that until we got it. And, to see in a live action show, to see a Rancor just ripping through buildings and stuff. I don't know. It's you got to see it and to really appreciate it. And I've now seen it twice, and I appreciated it even more on the second watch. So the droid emerges from the rubble, but no shield. I don't know if it got damaged or what the reasoning was. It just didn't reactivate it. I don't know. But the shield was not up, and the droid and the Rancor begin to fight while everybody just watches. They're just watching. And both times I'm sitting there like, this droid's shield is not up. So why the fuck is nobody attacking the droid? Like, you have two snipers up top. They could be taking strategic shots to take out the droid. Like, I understand maybe, they're amazed, or maybe they don't want to hit the Rancor or whatever, but like you could still be doing it. Like, I don't know. It just seemed a little awkward that they're just like, oh. No, it's amazing, sure. But what the fuck would have happened if it had killed the Rancor and then popped its shield back up or something? And you guys would have missed your opportunity to take out the droid. So I think it was a mistake to just kind of sit there and let it and just watch. I think they should have been trying at least a little bit, shooting blast. I don't know, just a little bit. I think it would have been better. But that's probably the only real negative about it that I have at the moment. But luckily for them, the Rancor manages to completely destroy the droid, and the people start driving the Pikes out. And they are now on the run. They're chasing the Pikes down to get them the hell out. Peli runs into the mayor's little bitch boy at one point. He almost shoots him. He's like, I am of no threat. And you can see, like, she's into it, man. I don't know if he's into her at all, but she's into him. So there's at least a little bit of chemistry happening right there. So I thought that was kind of cool. We already know she's been with a Jawa, so why not with a Twi'lek? I love it. Amy Sedaris, man, she's good times. She's good times. Then as Boba and the Rancor are killing Pikes, we even get to see he picks up one and just eats it. Which I was like, yes, we got to see it eat one, just like we did in the OT. At this point, Cad Bane shows up. He emerges from the side streets or wherever the hell he is, and the Rancor goes for him, man. Which makes sense. He's like, I got this Rancor. I'm not just gonna sit back and I'm not gonna hop down and have a duel with. Fuck that. My Rancor is gonna eat this motherfucker. But before as he goes to do that, Cad Bane just unleashes a flurry of fire right into the Rancor's face. It does it a couple times. It causes Boba to get thrown from the Rancor, and the Rancor takes off. He retreats. Guess fire's not what he likes. And now it's time for the duel. That's right. Cad goads him yet again, and they draw. They have their duel finally. Boba, not quick enough, gets shot in the armor, and he's down. Luckily, he had his armor on. Otherwise, like Cobb Vanth, he wouldn't have been as lucky. Cad Bane gets the upper hand on him, and he has him pinned down, takes off Boba's helmet, rips off, and he's about to shoot him in the face to end this whole thing. But Boba manages to block. He gets up, he uses his like Tusken spear weapon. He goes back to that part of what he has learned. Up until now, he's been relying essentially on his bounty hunter skills with the blaster, with the rocket pack, with the rocket launcher too. He's been kind of relying on that side of things, which makes sense. That's what he's known for years. But now it's time to tap into that other side of him, that side that Cad Bane doesn't know. And so he pulls out, like I said, his Tuscan spear weapon, takes Cad Bane down to the ground, and kills him. Just like stabs him right in the chest. Or so we think. Because I was shocked, first off. I was like, holy shit, they just killed Cad Bane. I was like, I understood because, like, if you let him live, if he walks away, it's not over. You know what I mean? And so it made sense. However, on my second viewing, I did not catch this the first time around. I'm glad I watched it again. On the second viewing, they show Cad Bane's body. You know, it's like the last shot of Cad Bane. You know, we just see his body. And then you hear a faint beeping. And it almost sounds like the rhythm of a heartbeat. Boom, boom, boom. But it's a beep. And I'm like, is he fucking still alive? Because why else put that sound in there? It's unnecessary. You would not have any sound there. I think he's alive. And I think he's going to come back. Where? I don't know. But I wholeheartedly believe he will be back somewhere, whether it be in season 2, whether it be in a different series, you know, he will be back. You know, could be in Mando season 3. I don't know. But it's not the last that we're going to see a Cad Bane. And that excites me because he was so cool. I really want to see more of him. So back with all the people, the Rancor is now loose, and they're trying to stop it. You know, they're shooting at it, and it's freaking out. Mando's trying to tell them to stop, you know, because it's scaring him, you know. And understandably, on both sides, it's understandable that the Rancor is terrified because, like, it's getting shot at and shit. But it's also understandable that all the people are terrified because it's a fucking Rancor. And this thing is known as a killer. So it's understandable that they would also be kind of terrified. And wanting to save themselves, essentially. And we get this cool shot. It's like a King Kong shot of the Rancor on a building. He's kind of hanging half off it. It's just like taken straight out of King Kong. I thought that was really cool. An awesome homage to it. And then Mando tries to wrangle in the Rancor. But it's not working. You know, he doesn't have the bond that Boba does, you know. And so he almost instantly gets kind of chucked, you know, from it. The Rancor grabs him at one point and goes to, like, eat his head. But luckily, he's got the Beskar armor, and that prevents him from dying because that's what was about to happen. He winds up getting tossed, and Grogu steps in. You know, Peli was watching him, turns away, and then the next thing she knows, he's gone, and he's stepping out into the middle of the street, right in front of the Rancor, and he uses the Force to essentially connect with the Rancor. And to me, I don't think this is anything that we've ever seen before. I guess it's possible that we saw it in, like, you know, Rebels or the Clone Wars, and I just don't remember. But in the movies, it's definitely not something that we've seen, where he uses the Force to bring the Rancor to sleep, which I was like, wow. And then it got me thinking, well, maybe this is just a spin on, you know, like, these are not the droids you're looking for, where it's a suggestive thing, you know? So it essentially what he's doing is like, you will go to sleep. And then the Rancor goes to sleep. It could be something like that. It could be a whole new Force ability. I don't know exactly how it worked. But nonetheless, it was awesome to see. And just to see him connect in that way. And Mando's just watching it. He's like amazed, right? And it took a lot out of Grogu because after the Rancor falls asleep, Grogu just walks over to it, kind of like pets it, curls right up next to it, and just takes a little nap, snuggles right into the Rancor and takes a little nap. And it was like the cutest thing. It was adorable. Then we head over to the Pike leader. He's there with the mayor and the heads of the three tribes, the Jabba's former captains. And they're all there, and they're talking about what's been happening. And then we hear these blaster shots from outside. They're like, what? And everybody's kind of freaked out. And then blaster bolts just come flying inside. It takes out the captains. Boom, boom, boom. And anybody else that's in there, then all of a sudden the mayor, like a rope of some sort, just kind of comes down, brings him up, and he just hangs there. He's dead. The only one left in there in this little hut is the leader of the Pikes. And then all of a sudden you hear like, and you can hear like a knife stab, and it gets pulled out, and Fennec Shand is there, and she has just taken out all the guards, the captains, the mayor, and the leader of the Pike. And this right here is exactly why she is a master assassin. Like, we haven't really gotten that yet in this show. And so seeing her just really do her master assassin thing was fucking awesome. She is such a badass, man. And I really hope we get more of her. And if she's hanging out with Boba, if that's like what it's going to be, then we need more Boba. We needed a season 2 Book of Boba Fett just so I can get more Fennec Shand, because she is incredible. Ming-Na Wen is such a talented person. She is badass. Apparently she's like 58. She looks gorgeous. Like, I was like, wow, first off. But she's just a badass, man. And I need to see more of this character. I kind of want to get almost like what we got with Boba, where we get to see more flashbacks of her. I want to learn more about her, honestly. That's something I would be interested in. And so after all of that, Boba and Fennec, they're, everything's wrapped. The war is over. The Pikes are done. Spice trade on Tatooine is over, as far as we know. And so after all of that, Boba and Fennec, we are seeing where they're walking down the streets. The people of Mos Espa are giving them respect. They're bowing. They're giving them gifts. Boba seems happy. He's smiling. He's like, why does it have to be? He has to do like a gesture to them. And he's like, why does it have to be the right arm or the right shoulder? Because he's still, he's still kind of injured. And Fennec suggests taking a soak in the Bacta tank. And then Boba reveals this. He says, it's already being used. And obviously, to me, it seems like she knows, or she wasn't surprised by it. But I'm like, okay, who is it, right? My first assumption was Chrysanthemum, because he had already said, I owe you a soak in the Bacta tank. And so my assumption was, okay, Chrysanthemum's in the Bacta tank right now, so Boba's not. Okay, that's fair. Then Boba says, I don't think this is for us. This whole being the daimyo of Mos Espa. I don't think this is for us. And Fennec is like, well, if not us, then who? And that's the question, right? That's the big burning question. Who would take over? Who would have the same kind of moral standing that Boba is trying to have as the leader here, to not rule with fear, but to rule with respect? Who would that be? And I think that post-credit, after I talk about it, I think that'll give us some insight into who it could be. So they're walking, and then we see Chrysanthemum and the mods at the end of as the episode ends. And so that means that Chrysanthemum is not the one in the Bacta tank. So if you're kind of keeping track, you're like, wait a minute. If Chrysanthemum's not the one in the Bacta tank, who could possibly be in the Bacta tank? And that's the end of their stuff. We get a shot out in outer space. Mando and Grogu are flying, and as I had said, I'm sure lots of other people said it as well, but when I first saw the N1 Starfighter after it was all done, and we had the little domed part where the droid would go, and it was all domed up, I was like, perfect little spot for Grogu. And sure as shit, that's where he is. It was awesome. And so him and Mando and Grogu are flying through space, and Grogu keeps like knocking on the little dome, and Mando's like, no, I'm not doing it, no. And finally he relents. He's like, fine, but this is the last time. And he hits the little button, and they like hyperspeed out of there. And you hear Grogu, he's like, wee! He just wanted to go fast. And I thought that was a really cute kind of end to their part of the story. And I'm excited to see what happens in Mando season 3. And then we get the credits. Okay, we get this new version of the theme music. It's got lyrics, but it's essentially just Boba Fett being said. It's like Boba Fett, whatever. I don't even know how it goes, but it's a lot of people complaining about it. I thought it was kind of cool, but also kind of unnecessary. Like, I think the music is great all on its own and didn't actually need to have the word Boba Fett said a billion times over. Just saying. It was unnecessary. And then we get an end credit scene. Something that you don't typically get in Star Wars, but we got one here. And we see the Bacta tank. And there's a guy standing with his back to us. And the camera slowly comes in, and we see that inside the Bacta tank is Cobb Vanth. So he's not dead. But he's probably pretty damn close, because he's in the Bacta tank, and the man who is standing there with him is the guy from the mod parlor, and he's getting ready to operate. That's right. So Cobb Vanth about to become a mod. And this makes me wonder, is Cobb Vanth going to be who takes over? My other thought was, we had that whole Rangers show. I don't remember what it was called, but it was supposed to have Cara Dune in it. And that's not going to happen because of the idiocy of fucking the actress who was, in that role. Thankfully she's gone, so I don't really care. The character was cool, but I never thought she was very good. They could honestly, they could recast and I would be totally fine with it. I don't care. But it makes me wonder if maybe they're looking to bring that, actually do that Rangers show and have Cobb Vanth be the head of it. I don't know. It could be interesting, especially with him being modded. It could give him an extra, because like Cara Dune was really strong, and it was a great soldier and everything. If he's got some mods, that gives him an extra edge. You know what I mean? So who knows? I feel like it could go either way. But no matter what, I'm excited for what is to come in the Mandoverse. We've got Ahsoka coming up later this year, and then as long as everything stays on track, I believe Mando season 3 is coming out in December, probably like the end of December, maybe the beginning of January, depending on what happens. But I'm excited to see where it all goes from here. But that was the season finale of I believe the season finale of Hey Mando, because we're going to be off until Ahsoka comes out. Thank you so much for joining me. Please be sure to head on over to my Twitter page, which you can see right down at the bottom, at Movie Blog Merc. Follow me there. And I'm pretty much on there all the time. Realistically, I'm on there quite often. If you got questions, comments, whatever, you hit me up. I would love to talk anything, Star Wars, movie, other types of movies, TV shows, whatever, comics, wrestling. I like a lot of stuff. So hit me up at Movie Blog Merc. For those of you listening, at Movie Blog Merc, MERC on Twitter. Be sure to hit me up there. If you are watching this on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button, hit the like, and click that little bell. That way you get all the notifications for whenever we drop new episodes. When Ahsoka comes out, you'll get that. And for all of our other shows, I'll probably be bringing What a Marvel back for Moon Knight. I don't know if I'll have other people on the show or not yet with me. We'll see. If anything, I'll be covering it the same way that I have been covering most of the episodes of Hey Mando here. So, yeah, if you're into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, be sure to follow this channel so that you can watch me review Moon Knight. I think it's going to be awesome. I'm actually pretty excited for it. And again, check me out at Movie Blog Merc. Yeah, I think that's about it, guys. I'm so excited, and thank you again for watching, for following. It's been real, guys. And catch you when Ahsoka comes out, because this is the way. See you next time.